we're in Melbourne at the NDS CEO Meeting 2016. You were telling me your story and you're talking about the paradox and some of your experience. So can you share a little bit about what we were talking about earlier?
I've been a wheelchair user for 19 years. Wow, nearly 20. Oh my gosh. And reflecting. And I think the time that I reflect is I used to, when the anniversary would come around, oh, how do I feel? And then I started to realise that the anniversary would pass and I hadn't thought about it. So that's when I realised disability wasn't huge on my agenda. And I guess the interesting thing about having disability is I feel the paradox. I feel as a mainstream, average, working class person, you have children, you have a job, so forth, so forth. Disability, in one sense, in the view of society, people perceive you as less capable, less able, less value, and perceive your life as a crisis and something. I think it's people's worst nightmare. Two things: to actually achieve and be, in my perception, viewed as an equal. I've had to work harder than the average. So I was doing a law degree when I broke my back. And I soon came to realise that that wouldn't be enough to give me credibility for a job. So I turned it into a triple major, fell into, of course, disability teaching. But I often felt my credibility was challenged by non-able-bodied people who had read certain things or believed certain things and were teaching students what they thought was correct, when I knew in my heart that wasn't the case. Constantly feeling the need to prove myself and my worth. But the interesting thing, really interesting, it's an interesting journey, and it sounds really crazy because most people would look at me and think, oh my gosh, I'd hate to have a disability. And there's facets to disability that are not nice on an everyday basis. But the paradox is I have had, I believe, a more fulfilling life, a more diverse life, and I've discovered so many traits and skills and abilities that I actually have that I don't think I would otherwise have sought had I remained an able-bodied person.
So the theme of this conference is Lead the Change. What would you say to employees?
Many messages. But certainly, I think look past disability. A human being has many facets. And I don't wake up in the morning and, oh gee, I'm disabled. I just go about life normally, and I say differently able. We actually have less sick days, less time off. We're very employer loyal because I think it's so hard to get a job. It's so hard for people to give us a go and value us. That if somebody does, we do set out to prove our worth. But even if that validation is no longer deeply needed, like I feel okay about myself these days. The other message, our interviewing for jobs. I think I teach a lot of students with Asperger's, autism, acquired brain injury, just a gambit of cognitive disabilities. And I believe that the way in which we interview to determine if somebody is suitable for a job is excludes people with disability. If you give a person with a cognitive disability who has a passion for that particular area of work a go, and skip that very difficult interview phase that we all struggle with, I think employers will be blown away. Because I do see a lot of young people with disabilities, essentially cognitive disability, who have the most amazing skills and abilities to offer, but they're never given opportunity to showcase because the way in which we interview and the way in which we judge a person's work readiness and worth and so forth is very narrow. It's very limiting, and I think employers are doing an injustice to the business.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story, and we're going to get back to some great speakers.